I hope all's well with you. Today we're going to be going over one-step subtraction equations. So this is part 2. So let's go ahead and get into it. So our vocabulary today, we're going to be talking about the addition property of equality today. And that is when you add the same number to both sides of the equation, it will be equal, okay? So in this case, if A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C. So all I did was I added C to both sides, okay? So let's get started. So it's the same process, same steps that we did yesterday with when we did the solving for equations. So let's go ahead and look at this problem. The first step we need to do is find the variable. So I have solve x minus 2 equals 1. My variable is my letter, okay? So here's my variable. What's happening to it? I'm subtracting 2, okay? So that's what's step 2. And then step 3 is I need to undo it by using the inverse. So the opposite of subtracting is adding. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. So what am I left with on the left side? X. Negative 2 plus 2. That will be 0, right? And then equals 1 plus 2, and that's 3. So let's go ahead and now check our solution. So to check it, we rewrite everything the same. And then we plug in or substitute the 3 in for x, because it says x equals 3. So instead of x, we're going to write 3. So we have 3 minus 2 equals 1. So what is 3 minus 2? 1. So I have 1 equals 1. That is true. So that means my solution is true. The next step that I want to do is write what my solution is. I like to box it. So x equals 3 is my solution. And then what property did we use? Well, let's look up here, up at the top. What did I do to my equation? Yeah, I added, so I used addition. So what property did I use? I used the addition property of equality. Fit it in. All right. Okay. Let's go on to our next problem. Okay, here is our next problem. I want you to make sure that you are writing these down. You have to practice it in order to get it into your brain for it to soak in. Because if you're not practicing, if you're just watching me, it's not going to help. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at this. So what's the variable? So I have y minus 3 equals 4. So the variable is y. What's happening to my variable? I'm taking away 3. So what's the opposite or the inverse operation of taking away 3 or negative 3? It's adding 3. Okay? So I'm going to add 3 to both sides of my equation. So I would put it not under the y, but my same numbers. So I have plus 3. I put it under the numbers because they are like terms. Okay? So if I do it to the left side, I'm going to do it to the right side. And I'm going to put it under the 4 because they are like terms. I can combine them just like we learned earlier. Okay? So this is y. The 3's will cancel out because 3 minus 3 is 0. I'm going to put my equal sign down. And then 4 plus 3 is 7. So my possible solution is y equals 7. So let's go ahead and check it. So I'm going to rewrite my equation. And then I'm going to substitute the 7 in for y, since 7 equals y. So I have 7, and then I write everything else the same. Minus 3 equals 4. What is 7 minus 3? It's 4, and 4 equals 4. So that is true. So now let's go ahead and write our solution. So our solution is y equals 7. And what property did we use? What did we do on both sides of the equation? not what the equation started with. It's the addition property of equality. Okay. All right, here's our next problem. It's q minus 8 equals 9. So the first step that we need to do is find the variable. I want you to go ahead and try to do these 3 steps. So find the variable. What's happening to it? And I want you to use the inverse operation. Go ahead and write that down in your notebook. I want you to go ahead and try to solve that. If you need to, go ahead and pause, and then I will see if you guys, and then I want you to check to see if you got it right. Okay? All right, so the first step, write your problem. So I have q minus 8 equals negative 9. What's happening to the variable? I'm subtracting 8. I need to use the inverse operation to undo it. So what's the opposite of subtracting 8? Adding 8. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides of my equation. So I have minus 8, plus 8, plus 8. So now what am I left with on the left side? I have q equals, and then I have negative 9 plus 8. So negative 9 plus 8, I have more negatives than positives, and I have some positives and negatives. So that means I need to subtract in my head. So 9 minus 8 is 1. So I'm left with 1, but 1 positive or negative? There's more negatives, so my answer is going to be negative 1. Okay? So the next step is to check to see if I got this right, because integers sometimes can be a little bit difficult. So I'm going to rewrite q minus 8 equals negative 9, and I'm going to substitute in negative 1 for q. So I have negative 1 minus 8 equals negative 9, and negative 1 minus 8. It's going to become more negative. So I have 1 negative here, and then 8 more negatives. So I have 9 negatives. So this is negative 9 equals negative 9, and that is true. So my solution is q equals, q equals negative 1. Every time you write q, I want to put q, right? All right, what property was used? Well, what did I do here? Each time I added, so I used the addition property of equality. Okay. All right, here's our next problem, number 8. So let's go ahead and read it together. So a pair of shoes costs $25. This is $14 less than the cost of a pair of jeans. Find the cost of the jeans. Let J represent the cost of the jeans. So let's go ahead and find the important information. I know that the shoes cost $25. This is $14 less than the pair of jeans. Okay, so which one's more? The pair of jeans or the shoes? Well, so this is 14 less than the jeans, so that means that the jeans are more expensive. So find the cost of the jeans. Let J represent the jeans. Cost in jeans. So J is the cost of the jeans. Okay? So if I have my shoes, which is $25, equals my jeans, right? But remember that this is a smaller price, right? The $25 shoe costs, they're a little bit cheaper, so I have to, in order for them to be equal, I have to take away the $14, so it's 14 less than the jeans. See how it says 14 less than the pair of jeans. So I have 14 less than the jeans, okay? So now that I have my equation, I need to solve, okay? So where is my variable? It's right here. What's happening to it? I'm taking away 14. So instead of taking away 14, or what's the opposite of taking away 14, is plus 14. So I'm going to add 14 to both sides. So I get 39 equals J. Well, what does that mean? J equals 39. Well, J is the cost of the jeans, so 39 would be $39. So the jeans costs $39. Would that make sense? So, did I say that the jeans were supposed to be more than the shoes? Yes. And $39, that seems about right. Okay? All right. So that, let's go on to our next problem. I believe there's 2 more problems. All right. So this is a you try. I want you to try these 2 problems here. This is going to be part of your problems to do inside the classroom. So make sure that you have these done, write them down, try them out. All right, that is the end of adding and subtracting equations, one-step equations.